Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. Tonight before I go to bed, I thought I would share another movie review. This movie is from Denmark. It is Danish language, English subs. It's a black comedy released in the year 2000, directed by the brilliant Anders Thomas Jensen, and this movie is called Flickering Lights. Now, expectation levels were very high for this one. Not only was it Anders Thomas Jensen who was directing it, you also had an all-star Danish cast. We've got Nikolaj Likhaus, Mads Mikkelsen, Ulrik Thomsen, Søren Pilmark. So not only if you're a Danish fan, if you're a fan of Scandinavian cinema in general, they are four very big names. So expectation levels were very high. So basically what we have in Flickering Lights, it's a gangster film. We've got four small-time gangsters working for a big-time gangster nicknamed Eskimo. Eskimo wants these four lifelong friends to go into this mansion and steal the contents of this safe and to bring it back. Now, initially, these four gangsters, they don't know what's inside the safe, but when they realise that it's 4 million kroners, which is the currency in Denmark, so basically $4 million, when they realise that it's a lot of money, they decide not to bring it back to Eskimo, but to go on the run and try and make it to Barcelona to start a new life, and they're going to split the money between them. So obviously they are now marked men. Eskimo wants all four of them dead, and he will stop at nothing to try and get to them. So they stop, before they get to Barcelona, they stop by in a very isolated area of the woods where there is a rundown shack. They're going to spend the night there, and then they're going to plan their move the next morning. However, things kind of change. The leader of these friends, Søren Pilmark, who seems to be the voice of reason, comes up with an outrageous idea. He doesn't want to go on the run anymore. He doesn't want to live life in the seedy criminal world. He wants to make an honest living by opening a restaurant. He's going to use the money to fix up this shack, and this is where the restaurant's going to be. And it's going to be called Flickering Lanterns. Now, initially, the other three, they think of this as lunacy. Not only is the mob after them, but it's located in the middle of nowhere, so they'd never get customers. But the leader of this little crew, he seems a little bit delusional, but it's his dream, and he wants to do this. So, reluctantly, the other three agree, and they look to fix up this shack. And along the way, they have to face their past, and discover a few honest truths about each other. So it's a soul-searching kind of journey, and at the same time, the Eskimo and his crew are after them. So what happens from that point on, it's something that you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that is as far as I'm going with a synopsis. Now my thoughts on this movie. You guys know how much of an Anders Thomas Jensen fan I am. I love The Green Butchers, I love Adam's Apples. To me, they are both cinematic masterpieces. So I'd never heard of this one, and apparently, this is his first movie, his first full feature film. So apparently it's out of print. So that is a great shame, because a lot of people are not going to see it. And if it wasn't for my good friend Magnus, Vault Keeper 2, I would never have seen this movie, which would have been, I would have missed out big time, because yet again, Anders Thomas Jensen has delivered a masterpiece in Flickering Lights. Now, the thing I love about Anders Thomas Jensen so much is that he has dark characters in his film. His films are very dark in tone, but yet he always finds the goodness in even the most evil people. Initially, at the start of the movie, these four gangsters were very unlikable. They were very vicious, and they come across as psychopaths, and it's someone that you would avoid if you were walking in the streets. However, as the film progresses, Anders Thomas Jensen, he paints his characters in a very human way. It's a tale of humanity, and that although you get to see a psychopath by cover, when you know their upbringing and you know how they truly are, you get a connection with them, and it's a connection that you'd never thought you'd have, because in the real world you'd stay well away from them. But when you get to know their upbringing, and it brings out it brings up the age-old saying of, if you're raised in a bad way, in a harsh environment, that's the person that you'll become. So the second half of the film is in flashbacks. You get an insight into the people that these guys are, and that's why you get a strong sympathy for them, because if you were raised like that, we take it for granted that we've had, most of us, we've had good upbringings, and it's been the reason why we are the people that we are. And you see a maniac and you don't really stop to think what their upbringing was like. Whereas, Anders Thomas Jensen, he forces you to take an insight into people that you'd normally stay away from. And I feel that it's a beautiful thing, because he finds happiness and uplifting things in such dark tone. And no other director does it quite like Anders Thomas Jensen. So for that reason, I was absolutely captivated in the film. Not only does it have very witty humour, it's not slapstick humor. So if that's not your kind of thing, I would say you're not going to find this very funny. But it doesn't matter if you don't find it funny, because it does double as a psychological character study of damaged people. So the acting was absolutely brilliant. Anders Thomas Jensen utilized the acting talent to his full extent. Each and every character was very rich, a lot of depth, and you really cared for each and every one of them, and they were very different from each other. So a lot of attention to detail in this film, and that's why it works so well. Now, there are some very shocking scenes, so be careful of it. For his type of movie, he's always a dark sort of director, but even for his standards, this one is a lot more shocking than I thought it would be. You'd go along and you'd have a laugh, but the next minute you'd be shocked. And that's the kind of director this guy is. You kind of don't know what's around the corner, which makes him a very fascinating young director. So, Scandinavian humour, a lot of the humour is going to be lost in translation, so native Scandinavians are going to find it a lot more funny. But having said that, you know, I'm not Scandinavian, and I found it very funny, so a lot of people out there are going to find it funny as well. But as I said, don't worry, if you're not into comedies, it will double as a shocking sort of drama. The ending was perfect. I thought it was a great way to finish off the film, and the pacing was excellent, and the soundtrack was excellent, typical Anders Thomas Jensen. The cinematography was typical him as well. It was uplifting, but at the same time dreaded, so it was a very unique, surreal experience. And, you know, this guy is one of the best directors going around. So all in all, I'm giving this a 5 out of 5. It is like, it's a gangster film like none other that you've ever seen. And if you can get your hands on it, I would highly recommend you pick it up, because this movie is great. Unfortunately, it's out of print. Not you know, I'd never heard anyone talk about it before I saw it. So yeah, it is getting the full 5 stars from me. It is a movie about humanity, and that you could be the darkest soul on the planet, but there's always a little bit of good in each and every one of us. So a real sort of humane look at gangster life. So that's my review, Flickering Lights. It is a Danish masterpiece. Once again, Anders Thomas Jensen has struck gold. 5 out of 5, absolutely brilliant. Alright guys, that's my review. I hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, keep watching movies, and see you later. Bye.